Welcome back to Hardball. It may seem hard to believe that you're not experiencing deja vu here, but it actually happened again now. A military serviceman whose job it is to protect against sexual assault is accused himself of sexual assault. The latest case involves a Fort Hood sergeant being investigated for forcing at least one subordinate soldier, you won't believe this, I couldn't believe it, into prostitution. And for sexually assaulting, this guy did, apparently charged with 2 others. Well, the Army's not releasing his identity, as he has not been charged officially, but get a load of his job title: Equal Opportunity Advisor and Sexual Harassment / Assault Response and Prevention Program Coordinator. That's right, the guy you're supposed to go to for help is the man here accused of sexual assaulting someone. Well, this comes just 1 week after the officer in charge of sexual assault prevention for the entire Air Force was arrested and charged with sexual battery. Well, last night, Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel ordered an immediate retraining, rescreening, and recredentialing of all sex assault prevention officers. Here's what could make this time different. The Senate Armed Services Committee has 7 female members. Look at them there. They're all senators who make up a little bit more than a quarter of the committee. On the House side, women comprise about 1 in 5 of the committee members. These are huge committees, of course. Joining me is Politico's Juana and MSNBC contributor Goldie Taylor, who served in the Marines. Juana, give us a sense of this. Is these bad apples, or is this systemic? The old question about any organization.
Chris, if you ask any lawmakers, they'll tell you this is proven. The frequency at which this has happened is proven that this is a systemic issue. It's a cultural issue within the military that needs to be addressed, where so frequently you have women and men reporting that they have been the victims of rape and sexual assault. And obviously, if it's a cultural issue, that's something that's quite hard to legislate and a hard thing for lawmakers here on Capitol Hill to swallow. So they're really looking to the Pentagon to see if they're going to get their act together and reduce these number of trends.
Well, look, we have a volunteer army, and we're all proud of it. And it means you join the army because you want to, because you see personal, patriotic, and career opportunities there. Now, why would anybody who's a good person want to join a military that has this developing reputation we're talking about right now? There are people in their 18, 19-year-old age range right now watching this show. And they're thinking, am I going to join the military, especially if I'm a woman, but not necessarily only that. And then there are bad apples out there that say, hey, it looks like it's pretty loosey-goosey over there. I'm going to join. This is a terrible recruitment poster for the bad people and a really bad one for the good people. Your thoughts, Juana? This is not, if it is systemic.
Absolutely. I talk to lawmakers all the time, and they say they have family who serve in the military. They say this makes it really hard to sell for them when they have mothers and fathers coming up and asking them, is it safe for my kid to join the military? They find that quite difficult. So if it is a systemic issue, that means that there needs to be a change in leadership. You have to reach people from all the way at the Secretary of Defense level, lawmakers say, all the way down to those enlisted young men and women, those 18 and 19-year-old kids who are the boots on the ground in places like Afghanistan and Iraq.
Let me go to Goldie. You've been on the show, and you're a good guest, so let me ask you, because you know what you're talking about. If you think about this sergeant involved here running a prostitution operation with somebody completely dependent in some way on him, emotionally, politically, power-wise, whatever, he's used this person, apparently that's the charge. What about his or her lieutenant? What about the person above them that benefits not at all from this guy's operation? Why wouldn't they have grabbed him, stopped him, got him kicked out?
Well, number one, this is about absolute power. And so if I have one more stripe, one more medal than you, I have absolute control over all of your life.
But what about the stripe above this stripe?
The stripe above him is rewarded for the lack of incidences in his chain of command. And so the stripe above him, there is no advantage in the world for him to report, him or her to report. It is more advantageous to them to keep a clean chain of command. The issue here is that this culture has been going on for decades. This is a cancer that has metastasized into the bone. Your question earlier was, would we encourage our young men and women, today to join the selective services? I am the mother of grown men and women. I would encourage none of them, and I am proud of my service. Okay, I would not encourage any of them to join.
There's a wonderful line. I'm a movie nut, as you all know, I guess. Cider House Rules. What business are you in? I want to ask you, Goldie, because you've been in there. Are people joining the military because they like this opportunity to enforce sexual rule over someone else rather than defend their country? They like this line of work because it gives them this enormous power over people.
Well, I think for me, it was an opportunity for a career, for an education, and by and large, that is the choice for the people who join selective service. But as in any career, there are bad apples. The military simply provides a greater field for those bad apples to flourish, and that's what has to stop.
Let me go over to Juana for the last word here. How wide is it? Are we talking 5%, 10%? What are we talking here? Can you tell from your reporting?
These are huge numbers from our reporting and the study the Pentagon released last week. As many as 26,000 men and women across the armed services may have been assaulted or victims of rape last year. The big statistic, though, is just a really small percent. About 3,300 of those people actually felt comfortable enough to go out and report that. And that's one issue lawmakers say has to stop. People have to feel like if they are victims of these bad apples, as Goldie said, if this happens, they need to be able to go to their chain of command, to go to whoever's in charge and feel comfortable enough to say, I was assaulted or I was raped. This is something that happens to me and I want to see justice for it.
Well, good for Chuck Hagel if he gets control of this. This would be a lifetime achievement if he cleans up this mess. Thank you, Juana Summers, and thank you once again for your service again, Goldie Taylor, and your testimony. When we return, let me finish with what we saw tonight. A president is starting to take control of the problems that have plagued him. He's moving, and that's good. You're watching Hardball, the place for politics.